This is Steve McGrath, and welcome back to the show. I'm pleased to bring you Akeem Spence in this week's episode. Now, normally I like to talk to you about success, principles of success, what makes great teams, how do you win, overcome obstacles, but that's not the playbook for this episode. Akeem is all over social media talking about major concerns he has with the NFL versus the NFLPA, what the NFLPA is doing. Why is there a lack of structure? Why is there really, in terms of COVID-19, why is there not enough being done? Why is there no conversations, no discourse about what's really at stake for the players? So Akeem is really the only person I've heard really voice his concerns. And as he'd tell you, it's because he's a free agent. Guys that, in his opinion, are already on rosters, they're scared to speak up. So I wanted to take this opportunity to have Akeem voice his concerns about what's going on across the league. So the first 10 minutes was a little bit choppy. Akeem goes on a rant. The last 20 minutes, Akeem is on a phone where it's much clearer, and I'm able to have a little bit more of a back and forth with him. So the first 10 minutes, bear with me. I had to do a little bit of editing, but I promise you the last 2/3 of it get a lot clearer. So without any further ado, here's Akeem Spence laying down the facts for what he sees in this NFL landscape that we're all living in 2020.
Have a voice, because you know they're employed by the NFL, so therefore it's certain things that you can say. Like that's when you look at players' interviews, it's real basic. It's
Yeah.
always bring everything back to team. Just real simple. So you know, guys are just really suppressing their emotions. You're never really getting true emotion out there. You're just getting what sound good for the team and for the organization. And just speaking on the football reform in the majority of the league. So your B and C players, the guys that don't get the respect that go out every Sunday and battle. Granted, they're not the top guys, but hey, they work hard too, and they deserve the same respect. And you know, they don't get that. That's like God. There's 90 guys in camp right now. We already know 30 of them automatically are going to be gone whenever they decide to have the season. And we know half of those guys aren't even going to make up close to 10 grand, while they're there. They're just there being camp bodies, just being practice dummies and just going through the program. And we see it happen every year. Every year. And then this year in particular, it's really different because you had a lot of guys come out of college, and not everybody went to the combine this year. Not every guy. I think it's only like 300 and something spots for the NFL combine in Indy or something like that. And so your undrafted free agents this year didn't get to get their pro days in, because of COVID hit. COVID slowed everything down. So guys who came out of college, it was really gut wrenching because they're not going to get the opportunity they want. And preseason it's already been canceled. So their audition is, it's
Never
it's
happened.
not yeah, it's non-existent because we know preseason audition for all 32 teams. It's like how guys gonna get all the teams? I mean, I'm sure teams aren't gonna send practice film out. Like who's gonna speak up for those guys? And those guys are gonna go out. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, bang up their bodies, and at the same time, we all know NFL players don't have lifetime health care. Roger Goodell does, his family does, but the players they don't. We have the Cigna, and it goes to 5 years after you're done playing, things like that. So it's like, how are the guys that make up the majority of the league not taken care of? But you say, as a hierarchy, as owners and everything, that you care for your players, you want to do right by them, but at the same time, you're in their pockets, especially with these agents that, they hire. The agents want their 3%, so that's very important to them. But it's like, who's going to take care of the guys? Put the proper structure in place to where these guys are going to be successful. Show these guys how to even invest their money. I mean, I've had some conversation in the locker room. Some guys don't even know what a dividend is. Some guys don't even know what a portfolio is. All they know is about a savings account, and that's sad. Because you put all these people in front of them, but nobody's never really truly helping them. Everybody's really in their pockets, the advisors, the managers, all the I never really had that. I had an agent and I had an advisor. And you best believe I was checking both of them every day of the week. I'm like, hey, what you doing? Why did you do this? Why did that happen? Because my dad, he was a businessman. You know what I'm saying? He had his own construction business, so he always taught me checks and balances. And if everything ain't adding up, then it doesn't make sense. So that's even like with this COVID, we're talking about having a season. We seen the precautions that the NBA took to even be successful in having their season. They had to take a long break until they got a proper structure in place that actually made sense to where the guys felt comfortable to even say, hey, we'll play. But I feel like the NFL, they're not taking that format. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a trial run. And I don't know if you've seen Kelly Stafford post a couple of days ago. I think Matt actually tested. It had like a little false test. And you know what I'm saying? That's detrimental, because what if that was during the regular season? Then you don't have number 9 at, you know what I'm saying, playing quarterback. He's sick. So it's like, to be the NFL, y'all are the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? This is number 1 sport in America. So why don't y'all have the best equipment? Why don't y'all have the best protocol in place for these players? You say you care for them, and most of these guys are dads, husbands, fathers. And so granted, they're employees to you, but at the end of the day, they have a family to go home to. They have loved ones that care about them. And somebody has to speak on that. I mean, I just didn't feel safe. I had my fiance, she's pregnant, and my agent was talking about going to Buffalo, but I'm like, why am I going to Buffalo right now? I'm not sure if it's going to be a season. Does the money even make sense for me to leave home? Because since I've been in the league, I found like 500-600 ways to make money. Making money is not hard. If you build good relationships with the proper people, people will help you along the way. They'll show you the structure stuff. How you can put yourself in place and be good. That way you ain't got to wake up every day fretting that you got to, hey, when's the season going to start? Because some guys live like that. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast. And it's just very unfortunate. I always ask myself, it's like, why isn't there a proper structure from when guys come into the league that show them how to grow their money, show them how to invest properly, show them how to be successful businessmen, and at the same time, be good football players, But I look at the NFL, as one of the biggest pill-pushing organizations in the world, because we know football, it's high rate of injury. Guys have surgery every week, and it's like, you're gonna give them the oxys, the Vicodin, you know what I'm saying, all the prescription drugs that kind of suppresses them and makes them run back to the game, and that's the sad part. And that's even when I spoke about the Toradol. Guys been getting those shots. Some guys, I'm not gonna say everybody, since college, or taking the pill since college. So why you feel like Superman on Sundays and Saturdays, but when you get home, you don't want to feel like that. You just want to feel chill, relaxed. But then you wake up on Monday morning, feel like you was in the biggest car crash of your life. Your neck hurts, your back, you barely can get up. And then the weight room coach talking about working out, running sprints. It's like, man, I just played 60 snaps. Especially being a D lineman, like, hey, it's some double teams, it's some traps, it's some back block, it's some blocks. You're going to get blindsided and everything like that, man. So I feel like these players need a voice, and players are so scared to speak up because why? They want to get paid, they want to get their money. So it's like they just don't want to mess that relationship up. But it's like, if we would have did this when Cap spoke up, opt out, like, you had more guys in New England, is the best way in the league. And if those guys felt strongly enough to opt out, it's like, why not the rest of the league, man? And it's just, I worry, man. I worry. I worry about my friends, some family members and everything. I'm just like, the game needs a proper structure and a proper protocol in place, man. If not, man, I just feel like guys are just being used just to see how things work out for the next few months, Because
Yeah.
you look at baseball, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Baseball is a mess right now, and they're trying to play outdoors, and football has a lot more numbers than baseball, and it's like, and baseball can't figure it out, and I'm not gonna say baseball is not as taxing because I can't hit those 90-mile-per-hour fastball. I would get up there and strike out every time. So I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. So I respect those guys fully. But football is more contact. It's more close, and so it's like to say you want guys to stay 6 feet apart on the bus, stay in the hotels, but then you want guys to go out and battle for, 60-odd minutes and exchange jerseys. And it's like, it doesn't make sense, and like my dad told me, when something doesn't make sense, it just doesn't make sense. And if somebody's trying to make it make sense, then don't listen to that person.
NFL versus NFLPA. What do you feel? Do you feel the PA is doing a good job? Do you feel that they're just working with the owners? What would you like to be seen done?
Oh yeah, man. I feel like the PA they always working the owners on the owners' behalf, man. They never really truly work for the players. That's because I say that because I look at when the CBA was voted on. It was voted on in the off season when guys are at home with their families. This is like the few months they get to spend with their loved ones. So guys aren't really paying attention to football, and it's like agents are just, telling guys to, vote yes because, it gives some young guys incentives and everything like that. But also, if you looked into the CBA, it took away from some of the older vets that, laid the foundation for this
Yep.
game. It took away some of their benefits. And it's like, how do you as a player union take away from the guys that laid the foundation for this very great game that we play today? That's not right. And even like the opt-out period, they wanted to rush the period.
That's crazy.
They moved it up because they seen how many guys were like, hey man, I'll sit this year out, like, fuck it, why not?
So
I get to go home and be with my family.
Yeah. So my understanding, just to bring more context to this, was that there was a deal in place and players were going to have 7 days to opt out. But then that got reported before the deal got finalized. So players kept having longer and longer to make this decision. And then out of left field, all of a sudden, as an outsider, I hear, well, players have till, Thursday at 4:00, essentially saying like 2 or 3 days from now, everyone needs to make their decision. It did not seem like a clean process at all.
Yeah, and that's not right by the guys that play this game, man. It's like how are guys supposed to get truly educated when some of them are, they're at teams' facilities, for a good portion of the day? It's like, how do you educate these young men? How do you give them all their options? Well, you don't. You take them all away, and I feel like that's what the PA continues to do, and they're never really for the players, man, and it just sucks because the players don't never really get a true voice. It's like, how are they going to get represented? The agent doesn't really care as long as he gets his 3% or whatever. He's not going to speak up. And it just sucks, man, because you see what these guys go through, and obviously mental health plays a big part in this game, and guys just don't feel like they have the voice because nobody in the outside world cares because everybody loves sports. But it's like these are human beings first before you look at them as entertainment pieces, because I feel like that's all football, basketball players, and baseball players and all professional sports get looked at as entertainment pieces. But these are human beings as well, man. And it's like, why isn't there a proper structure in place to represent them and for the owners to even listen to them? And then just, it just sucks, man. It just sucks. And that plays on a lot of guys' mental to why they don't even bother speaking up. They just like, man, we're going to get F'd anyway, so it don't really matter. I might as well do this, collect this little bit of money so I can live for however long I want to live, man. And it's not a good system, man. It's a flawed system, and I just felt like I need to voice my opinion on it, man. And the support has been great. The feedback has been great from everyone I've been getting. But this is just, I know I feel this way. As just I'm not, like I said, I don't give myself all the accolades. I'm a solid football player. I go out, I grind. I'm one of those guys. Hey, I got to work hard. I don't have all the Aaron Donald talents. I don't. So I have to go out there and bust my tail every day. And it's like, it's a lot of guys like me. So it's like, how do you compensate just the majority? Because that's the majority of the league. It's only a few Aaron Donalds, a few Robert Quinns, a few Calais Campbells, a few Matthew Staffords out there, and it's awful, man, because these guys don't get the representation. And I even look at just like the racial part of it. It's like, how does a guy like Jameis Winston, his numbers are similar to Peyton Manning, and it's like, how doesn't he get a good deal? But you have a guy like Chase Daniels that's been in the league, that's been making a bag his whole career, and maybe took, I say, probably 250 snaps.
Yeah. I mean, there's I have no good explanation to back up Chase Daniels. I'm sure he's a great guy, but he's an easy one to point out as a head scratcher. But I just wanted to back this up a little bit. Do you feel like you can only say what you're saying right now because you are a free agent and you're not tied to a team? Like, if you were attached to a team, would you feel like you can't say anything?
Yeah, I would feel like I can't say anything because they're like, man, don't listen to that guy.
Like, they'll cut you.
Yeah. It's like they'll cut me because I have a free mind, a free way of thinking, and it's like we should all be thinking like that as players because we got to worry about our health first. Yeah, we love this great game, but we know it's not going to love us in the end because why? You hear about all the NFL players that go broke, but guess what? The NFL hasn't put in the structure to even help players. You know what I'm saying? To show them how to, manage their money, invest their money, all that. But at the same time, I will say this. Guys have to go out and seek that information for self as well. So they have to try to help themselves because we know the game. The owners aren't really going to help you.
Yeah. So when you look at how everything's been handled by the NFL, I feel like basketball and hockey so far, they've been successful because they're in a bubble. Do you think that the NFL ever considered doing or trying anything like that? Because that seems like the only way that you can have success. Baseball is showing you that it can't really work.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, but it's not a bubble in every, all 32 cities. I mean, I'm sure they have them at colleges and stuff, but I mean, they just got to put the correct format in to actually, try. I felt like this has just all been kind of like a test run to see how everything plays out. Like even like Bruce Arians' comments, he said every player's going to get COVID. Like if you say that as a coach, then it's like you really don't care about me, man, or my family, or my loved one. So it's like the NFL, they got to put in the structure that makes sense, man. And if it's the bubble, it's been working fine for the NBA. Put it in. Y'all guys have billions of dollars to play with. So, take care of your players.
It's so strange to me that the sport that generates the most money in the NFL, right? Why is the PA so weak? Why does it feel, again, I'm just an outsider, right? I don't know, much of anything, but it feels like nothing has really been done. Do you know much about like team to team? Are teams just kind of taking it on themselves to make up the rules as they go?
Honestly, I can't really. I don't even know that. So I'm just, I'm, free agent. I'm on the outside looking in as well. I just know from what guys tell me that's on the inside, because I built a good relationship around the league with a lot of guys. So, they love that I'm voicing my opinion because they don't have a voice on the inside. Some of them, they have to play football right now. Some are still young. So like they got to, as we say, we got to get our bag up, man. So
yeah, and so you've played 7 years in the league, so you of course you've signed a couple deals in order to play that long. Do you feel like you're in a special place because since you've made some money, maybe do you feel like you have more of an ability to step out, whereas that guy that's in year 1, year 2, year 3, that's still trying to like get his bag, they don't really
Mm-hmm.
have a choice. Like do you think that maybe these young guys don't really have a choice if they actually want a future in the league?
Yeah, man. I feel like that they don't really have a choice because, just us speaking just football players in general, when we come out of college, first thing we all want to be drafted in the NFL and just, doing whatever it takes because that's how we've been trained, that's how we've been programmed, as men, like, to go out there, work hard, bust our tail, show no emotion. So, young guys who are just drafted, of course, and we're also ego driven, as men, we love our ego to be fed, so what better sport to do it than in football? People are going to cheer you on when you're great. They're going to cuss you out when you're not. So, and I just feel like, yeah, I put myself in a very solid position after being in the league 7 years. I saved a lot of money. I invested well. I did all, but I had a good team around me of individuals that always kept me in check. Like, yeah, I had my fun just like any other young guy, but I didn't have too much fun. I always, I was thinking 8-9 years down the road. I wasn't just thinking for today or this year. So I feel like guys have to start thinking like that, especially, in a pandemic year. Because like I said, we have 90 guys on the roster right now. 30 of them aren't going to be there for sure. That is for certain. And it's like, what happens to those guys? They get thrown to the side. They got to go back and work regular jobs or just, see what happens. And then hopefully a team calls them, maybe not, maybe they don't, and just be in limbo, man. And that's a real horrible feeling that you just gave 3-4 months to a team, and then they just throw you away like use wash rags and stuff like that, and you don't have no health benefits as an undrafted guy who signs a future deal. And did those guys get an option to opt out? I don't believe they did.
I'm not entirely sure where they were drawing the line on that. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't think those guys even got the option because, they signed future deals. So I think even the language and how the PA wrote it up, I don't even think they even got the option, which is, I think it's awful, but I have to go back and double check. So don't quote me on that all the way.
Now, you did mention earlier, and it was a little choppy, so it was part of what I couldn't really hear, but the Patriots, when you see one team that has 8 guys opt out, whereas most other teams are just like 1, 2, or 3 guys, do you think anything weird is going on about a situation like that where there's such a big outlier?
Oh yeah, man. It's
Or is it also though like, hey, a lot of these guys, they're older, they've won a couple Super Bowls, maybe there just isn't as much to play for, so it's like more of an easy decision to make for them?
I mean, yeah, I would think that just, because obviously Hightower opted out. I mean, obviously, there's no Tom Brady up there no more. So it's like, I mean, what better year than now, and, for a guy like him, he had the option and just even those guys, just not wanting to, it just didn't make sense for a lot of them, and it just, guys wanted to be home. They wanted to be with their families. They wanted to be safe. And that was more important than, just being up there because I had a couple running with a couple Patriot coaches and, them guys are all about football. It's 24/7, 365 football. And it's like, now guys don't want to live like that, man. We enjoy football. Football is our work. It's our passion, but it's not our life, and that's, I think, where people forget, like, we're human beings that I always got to revert back to. But I think with the Patriot guys leading the way, it kind of set the tone for the league. They got the Super Bowls, they got the accolades, so it's like, why not?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about COVID, how the team's handling it, how the league, how the players are thinking about it. But one thing, just speaking more to the human side of being an athlete, right, is everything that's happening with racial injustice. And I know it's my understanding anyway that you've taken a knee before for the national anthem. It's something obviously that you care much about. What have your thoughts been about how the NFL has handled this whole situation? Maybe going as far back to Colin Kaepernick, but just bringing it up to today. What are your thoughts on everything?
Oh man, I felt like NFL, man, just they didn't do a good job. They never stood by the players. Even after you have a hierarchy in this country. With our president, he's supposed to set the precedent for the whole country. And I mean, me just being a man, and just knowing my values and what I was taught as a young man, like those aren't the values being shown at the top. And so, even when he called NFL players out, because he recently just called the NBA out. But when he called us out, man, I felt like every guy should have just, took a knee. But hey, everyone has their own opinion. Everybody's biased, so I can't say we all. But for the guys that did, I saluted them. And Cap, he led the way. But guess what? We didn't, as players, nobody stood behind him, and so he was just alone. So he couldn't fight it all by himself. But you circle back to now, and you see all the injustice that's going on in this country, and even in some of the game, in the locker room, in the teams, because you have injustice that still goes on to this day. And it's just as as one of the best sports in the world to not stand by your players, and now you see that he was so spot on so many years ago, so spot on. And you yet to issue an apology as, the NFL and the owners. You hide behind the media and everything like that. And it's just awful, man. This is awful. And it's like, we got to do better as a country. We got to do better as a sports franchise, whatever you want to call it, and just do better as people, man. Like Kobe said, do better.
So when you see that one of the ways that the NFL wants to react to everything that's going on is that they want to play the Black national anthem before games start, as well as the regular national anthem, how do you interpret that? Do you say, oh, well, it's a good idea that's going to help? Or do you look at that and say that doesn't move the needle at all?
It doesn't move the needle at all because it's just for show, man. I feel like it's
and that
show.
was kind of how I looked at it too. It's just I don't understand that almost feels more divisive. You're just going to play a song and that's it. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's like it's people out here dying. You know what I'm saying? It would be nice for some of the owners to come out, and stand up like they were making statements when they didn't want guys to take a knee. They were very vocal about that. The owners. Some were for it, some weren't.
So I think it's going to be easier to see the top level stars in the NFL speak out against racial injustice, take a knee for the national anthem, than work to be a voice for some of the COVID and the health stuff that we've been talking about. Do you think that you're going to see guys take more of a stance in just heading into this year?
I mean, it would be wise. It's an election year, so what better year to have your voice heard? We don't want the same guy in office again. So I feel like as players, you have a platform. So why not come out and let your voices be heard? And as far as the top guys, man, those are the guys that have the voices, but they don't care because they're paid, and everyone just thinks about self. And it's like, yeah, we all think about self, but what's the number one rule? Be a blessing. I think as a country and as people, we forgot that rule, to be a blessing to others. And that's why we are where we are as a country. That's why it's a shit show almost.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. So what do you think it's going to take then for some of the, because everyone knows it's going to be the top level guys that really get the ball moving. You can have the bottom 80% of the NFL wanting something, but until you get the Pat Mahomes of the world, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, like nothing happens until those guys say, we need this. What's it going to take for those guys to really stand up and help the rest of the league?
Well, I look at it like this. Yeah, you can have those guys, but I look at, if you get the majority, the middle class guys, because guess what? The Pat Mahomes of the world, they can't win the game by themselves. They're not going to do all the blocking, running, and tackling and all the defending. So if you get enough of the majority, then everyone has to follow. That's how I look at it. And if you're saying something that makes sense and it holds merit, then guys will follow. But it's just a matter of time, and us as men, we got to learn how to get out our own way, put our egos to the side. So And I'm not really a big ego-driven guy, never have been, never will be. And so I can sit in the room and listen to everybody speak and, take everybody point into consideration. Some guys, they can't. It's either their way or the highway.
Definitely. So, what would you like to see right now between now and when the season should start? So, just call it about a month. What would you like to see the NFL do to actually have you feel like they're doing enough so that the players will be safe this year? Is there anything that they can do to make you feel that way?
I mean, they just got to put a structure in place, man. Make guys feel safe, make their families feel safe. Because, you can be playing in San Francisco, but your family could be way down in Florida. So you got to have that structure in place, man, so when these guys are away, their families feel safe. And, you can't be – the rules just got to make sense. It's like you can't be 6 feet apart in the hotel, the meeting rooms and everything, and then you – like I said, you go out and bang for 50, 60 minutes, and then now you want to put the protocols in after the game or on the buses. It's like, come on, man. Like, who are we trying to fool here? And then just even like jumping on the fines, I was researching the fines. It's like you want to fine guys for not having y'all tracking devices and stuff on. It's like, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, should there be a football season?
Oh, man, not till they get a structure in place. But, guys are passionate. They're going to do what they're going to do. And I'm not here to tell grown men what to do or what not to do. It's just, if you care, you care. If you don't, you don't, And I have a big heart. And, so that's how I kind of operate off of love and just passion and caring for other people. So if people don't care for themselves, then it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I just want to be a voice for the people I came in contact with so they, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. I have structures in place that can, hey, if you need to make some money in real estate, private lending, assisted living, things like that, I can show you of the nature. And, you still can have your passion in football whenever you're ready. So that's why I can sit a year out and, hey, if a team wants me next year, hey, I'll be working out, I'll be ready and everything like that. But right now I'm not ready to leave my family in a time like this where everything is just unsure.
Yeah. Oh, no, of course. And I hope all goes well. Because my understanding is that you have a daughter on the way.
Yeah, man. So I'm really excited about that, man. And it's like 4 days before my birthday. So like, I can't miss my birthday present, man.
Well, Akeem, I really appreciate you being a voice that there's just really not else out there trying to bring more attention to what's going on or what hasn't been happening in the NFL. I feel like most of the country is just sort of wanting football to come back and they don't really care how. And you're the canary in the coal mine trying to say, hey, guys, the way we're going about this, really, we're cutting some corners here.
Yeah, man, we're cutting corners, and guess what, man? Some people haven't even got their first stimulus check, and they're talking about issuing another one. So it's like our government barely cares about it. So why should we think a high-powered organization like the NFL, does any better? So.
Yeah. Well, Akeem, thanks for taking the time to talk through some of these issues. I'd love to have you back on again, and we can do an update, and you can talk some more about it. But thanks for taking the time, and I guess we'll see what happens.
For sure, man, and thanks for having me, man, and thanks for just even wanting to talk with me, man, because I know this is a real touchy subject. I mean, I know some guys don't even want to discuss it, but hey, somebody, this conversation has to be had amongst men.
Absolutely.